They shipped a record 3.7 million tons of steel this quarter, but watching the stock trade today, you'd think nobody knew what to make of it. Welcome to Earnings Unscripted for July 21st, 2026. We're looking at Q2 for Steel Dynamics, ticker STLD. It was a monster quarter on paper. EPS hit $3.69 a share, up huge sequentially and comfortably beating expectations. So, Miro, what's your first read here?
My first read is that the market completely exhausted itself trying to price this. You had a massive pre-market spike, then a hard plunge in after-hours trading, and by today's close, it settled totally flat against pre-earnings levels. It's like a collective shrug.
The algorithms just gave up and went home, which, for the lawyers, any wild guesses we make about market psychology are strictly personal takes, not financial advice for your portfolio. But seriously, how do you put up over $6 billion in quarterly sales and get a flat stock reaction?
Because there's a tug of war happening under the hood. The core steel business is humming, mostly since their selling prices rose a lot faster than the cost of scrap metal. But they're absorbing some pain to ramp up their massive new aluminum rolling mill. They doubled aluminum shipments this quarter, yet they're still eating operating losses to scale it.
Yeah, and I love the transparency there. The COO admitted they actually left aluminum sitting on the factory floor this quarter, not because the cutting-edge melting tech failed, but literally because of random packaging issues. They couldn't get it boxed up at the loading bay.
Exactly. Spreadsheets don't account for bad pallets or logistics snags. When you're commissioning a giant new facility, you're going to hit dumb physical bottlenecks.
Fair enough. But there's another bottleneck buried in these filings, and it involves a $16 million impairment charge for moving a facility. The bizarre part is the official filing and the management team on the call gave completely different states for where this plant is supposedly moving. I need you to uncross these wires for me.
Right, so that relocation charge is a total geographic train wreck in the filings. The official 8K clearly says they're moving this satellite slab center from Arizona to Columbus, Mississippi.
Okay, makes sense.
Except on the earnings call, you hear the CEO referencing Benson costs, and suddenly they're talking about moving from Benson, Louisiana to Columbus, Ohio.
Wait, are there 4 different facilities?
No, it's the same move. It's just a complete mix-up. Benson is in Arizona, Columbus is in Mississippi. I'm honestly not sure if this is transcription software hallucinating or if management just scrambled their maps live on the call, but it points to how chaotic this entire aluminum rollout has been behind the scenes.
Well, you said earlier they left product on the floor because they couldn't box it right. I guess if you can't figure out pallets, losing track of Ohio isn't that far off.
Exactly. And that messiness bleeds straight into their cost structure. It's the whole reason the aluminum segment is still posting that operating loss we talked about. They're struggling to balance the scrap recipe.
The scrap recipe. Okay, wait, what are they actually melting down? I thought they just used old beverage cans.
They want to. To get the cost advantage, they need high scrap utilization. But right now for automotive aluminum, they're running roughly a 40-60 mix of P1022 scrap.
Hold on. P1020? I don't know what that is. Is that like a chemical additive?
Oh, sorry. No, P1020 is just the industry code for high purity primary aluminum ingots. Fresh metal, basically. It's very expensive.
Oh, got it. So they're supposed to be using cheap junk, but they're padding it with the expensive fresh stuff just to make the machines work?
Exactly. When you're commissioning a new line, you can't push a ton of dirty scrap through it until you've tuned the system, so you use the premium feedstock, and that just nukes your profit margins.
That's a great translation. It's like trying to bake with cheap flour, but your oven is broken, so you just buy premium pre-made dough to fulfill the orders.
Yeah, pretty much. And they fully admit it's a drag. Mark Millett, the CEO, was pretty blunt about it. He said, and I quote, "You got to remember we're commissioning and ramping up and starting up. There's no way, even though I wish it would be this way, that we'd be optimal in anything we do."
Fair enough. That's just industrial reality. But that implies there's this massive coiled spring for the second half of the year, right? Because if they fix the recipe, those margins have to expand.
They do. But honestly, the bigger coiled spring isn't even in aluminum. It's sitting on the core steel side. It comes down to contract lags.
Right, because heavy industry never prices things at the cash register. How delayed are these contracts?
About 2 months. Around 80% of their flat roll business is tied to lagging price contracts.
Wait, so the huge spike in spot prices we saw this quarter
hasn't fully hit the income statement yet. Right. It's basically baked-in revenue growth for Q3, completely independent of whatever the broader economy does tomorrow.
Wow, so they've got this guaranteed structural tailwind heading into the fall, and the market's still flatlined the stock today, which just makes you wonder, what exactly are investors so afraid of?
It's the classic heavy industry anxiety. You see this massive capital spending, a messy facility rollout, and people assume the cash engine's going to stall. But management's basically screaming the opposite. They actually restarted their share repurchases, returning $200 million this quarter.
Oh, right, because they deliberately paused those back in the first quarter just to, protect their working capital while firing up the new mill. So flipping that back on is a huge confidence tell.
Yeah, exactly. And the guidance, it entirely backs it up. They're capping capital investments for the back half of the year somewhere between $300 and $350 million. So the heaviest lifting is mostly done. The truth is, they aren't just surviving this expansion cycle, they're comfortably funding it.
Plus, if those contract price lags hit, like you were saying earlier, the third quarter is going to look incredibly clean on the core steel side. While, at the exact same time, the aluminum business hopefully gets its act together.
That's the playbook. Management expects to hit a 90% production run rate on that new mill by year end. So that instantly shifts the aluminum division from an operating loss to earnings positive. You're essentially going to have two massive cash engines running simultaneously.
Well, assuming they figure out how to put the aluminum on pallets, of course.
Right, yeah, minor detail. But if they solve cardboard boxes, the trajectory here is remarkably strong.
I love that. A legacy steel giant navigating the aluminum frontier, one logistical headache at a time. It's a genuinely great story. Thanks for digging through the mess today, Miro.
Always a pleasure. See you next time.
If today's breakdown helped make sense of the quarter, consider dropping us into your regular earnings rotation. As a quick reminder, this entire podcast, Our Voices Included, is a completely synthetic AI experiment designed to digest a live earnings call and get the story straight to your feed the exact same day. We always love hearing your feedback or what tickers we should cover next, so shoot an email to earningsunscripted@datamanage.ca or find the X link in the show notes. Thanks for hanging out with us.
See you next time.